Hello everyone, and thank you for watching Prescott Today. I'm John Heiney, the Community Outreach Director for the City of Prescott. We have a great show for you today. We will talk to our new City Manager, Dallin Kimble. Dallin, welcome.
Thanks, John.
It's great to have you on the show.
Mhm.
Let's start out with telling everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So again, Dallin Kimble. I've been in Prescott now for about 2 months, having a great time. Before Prescott, I was in Mariposa County, California for about 8 years. So that's the good part of California. We are the home of Yosemite, rural community, great place. Prior to that, I was in Virginia for a couple of years, and then here in Arizona, I did my graduate school program and worked at SRP for a few years.
Gotcha.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So you mentioned that you spent some time in Arizona. I think you also have some family in Arizona as well?
Yeah, that's right. So my wife was raised in Mesa, and her whole family lives in and around kind of the Mesa Gilbert area. So
that's great. So would you say, is that part of what attracted you to coming to Arizona and coming to Prescott?
Yeah, for sure. It's great to be close to family. My kids love seeing grandma and grandpa and all their cousins, and we can get down there in a couple hours, so it's fantastic.
That's great. So what else attracted you to Prescott?
I think a lot of things. I think certainly that the family side, but also just professionally, it's such an incredible community. It's a step up a little bit from Mariposa in terms of size, but it's got a lot of things going for it. It's got a lot of, we've started saying a lot of solutions sitting next to the problems, and a lot of opportunity to make a difference, and that's really exciting for me.
That's great. How's your family getting along with the move?
My daughter has picked up rock climbing. I've got a son who's started mountain biking. We love just kind of that perfect blend of small enough, but still everything you need.
Yeah, so I guess that gets to my next question. You've had some chance to explore some of our scenery and outdoor lifestyle in Prescott a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. We love it. We live pretty close to Lynx Lake, and that's great to have that just a few minutes away. Yeah. But we've been to all the lakes. We've been to the Constellation Trails and the Peavine Trail, and just anywhere we get a chance. A number of the parks, my kids have renamed all the parks with what they think they should be called, and refer them that way. We like to go play basketball or hang on the zip line or things like that. They have a good time.
That's awesome. That's great. So we talked a little bit about your time in Mariposa County and being Yosemite, the foothills of Yosemite. What do you see as some similarities with the Prescott region and some differences?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that's common. Mariposa and Prescott are both destinations for recreation, for history. They both have that character that you really want to preserve. Both of them have a lot of natural resource questions, right? We've got the wild urban interface in both locations where you're thinking about the forest, you're thinking about fires and things that can happen there, and how to help the community to be resilient in those situations. There are some differences too, I think. For example, Prescott's got to work a little bit harder for its visitors. In Mariposa, you've got Yosemite National Park, and people all over the world know they want to go to Yosemite National Park, and they just come, and they come kind of no matter what. We have more substitutes, I'll say, where people are making choices between, do I want to go to Prescott, do I want to go to Sedona, do I want to go to Flagstaff, or Payson, or somewhere else. And so we have to work a little bit harder to get the people here. We have to think a little differently in terms of the number of agencies or organizations that could be involved with a project. Mariposa was the city and county, basically. And here we have neighbors, we have the county, we have a bunch of other groups to work with. So a lot the same, but new challenges too.
Maybe it's a little bit more like a metro area here, like you say, neighboring communities and agencies that we're trying to work together a little bit on some things.
And that can magnify effort too.
Sure.
As we do work together, we can get a little bit more done than if we were just on our own.
Yeah, that's great. So kind of bringing it into the city, You've been here for a couple of months now. Just share some of your initial thoughts about the staff that we have in place and, kind of what you see with the team.
Yeah, man, staff are fantastic. So we have such a good, good group, and I kind of knew that. It was impressive in my interview when I was talking to the staff, mostly department heads, and I was asking them about kind of what's on their mind and some of their things, and it was telling to me to see the department heads talk about the importance of the work that each other were doing, right? So, I think it was recreation started by talking about how important response times are to our quality of life, and fire would say, oh, it's not just me. We got to think about quality of life. We got to think about some other things, and the police chief mentioned similar, right? Like that's important, but we got to think about all of these different. Our utilities need to work. Our parks need to be great. And that kind of a mindset where everybody's thinking about the whole is so helpful and so not just refreshing, but I think it enables us to be better because we're not internally territorial. We're willing to collaborate to do things that are the best for the people that live here.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately somewhat rare, but also just phenomenal. It's a fantastic team to work with.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you're well into your first 90 days, but sort of what are some of your goals and objectives for that first 90 days? And maybe we'll say even going out a little bit farther. What are some of the things that are starting to take shape for you as goals and objectives?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing for anybody coming into a position like this is to build relationships. And there's a lot to build. Internally with all of the different staff, obviously with the elected officials on the council, and then we have so many other nonprofit agencies and other government entities. We've got 3 colleges, a whole bunch of nonprofits. So a lot of people to meet. That's great. That's a lot of allies, a lot of people we can work with to do things. So it starts there, and I think beyond just building the relationships, it's starting to understand and put into words what the vision is, what the future is, what is the mission, what direction are we headed in, and the clearer that I can share that with staff, the more we can start to talk about putting the decisions where the information is, and that's another just element that helps us to be as efficient and effective as we possibly can be.
Sure. So more data-driven decisions in looking at those aspects.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
That's right. I'm very interested in that, and I think it's helpful not just for staff and not just for the council, but also when you get the data involved, you can start to have conversations based on outcomes rather than talking so much about inputs. And anybody in the community can have a conversation about outcomes. They know if they feel like they want a new road or they want something better at the parks or they know what the outcomes are, the response time that they want. They can join that conversation, and that's fantastic because we're here to serve them. And if we can give them the tools to tell us what it is they want and we can figure out what that means in terms of operations, then that's fantastic.
Yeah, that two-way communication with our citizens, our stakeholders is very important.
Right.
It really helps us. Great. So with that, obviously you've learned what are some of the key issues the city's working with right now? What are some of the current topics that we're talking about in the city right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one is just direction for me. I think because I'm learning that and exploring that a lot. I think there are a lot of issues that are kind of long-standing issues that we're continuing to wrestle with a little bit. For example, we need to know where we're at with water, and that's a complex system to understand. It goes up and down for all sorts of different reasons, and it's something we need to understand well. With the Proposition 478 effort, right, to understand that we need response times to be at a different level, we feel, and so that's a big conversation to try to be more responsive to the public and and have the resources to do that. I think the economic development strategic plan is a really big deal for us to understand how we're going to affect the character of the community, but particularly how we're going to make it sustainable, how we're going to make sure we have the services that we want and need, how we're going to make sure that we are attracting jobs, that we're making it possible for people to be here and stay here. There's just so many issues there. I see the general plan effort kind of getting to a conclusion here before too long. A lot of issues and certainly a lot to talk about, but all good things, all things that push us forward, which is
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. And I guess that gets to general plan definitely is a look ahead. It's a 10-year plan. So we're finalizing that. So we're looking ahead really for the next 10 years. How do you see that process going? How will that inform future councils and staff and direction, you know, with that?
At its core, the general plan talks about land use and development. So if you have everything aligned, your general plan should be an extension in a way of your strategic plan. And it really answers to the strategic plan. But it tells staff, it gives staff direction within the strategy the council has set. What are the kinds of uses and developments that council would like to see? What are the elements that build the character of the community that they want to make sure we preserve? And that can be all kinds of different regulatory things, but it's also, again, comments on character and beautification and some of those sorts of things. So it says a lot about the physical structures and the physical appearance of the city that are what people see first. It's the first impression, is the result of the general plan.
Sure, makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned the strategic plan. So the city just completed a strategic planning process as well. Happened a little bit before you got on board, but you've certainly had time to review that. Council's had time to review and approve it. Thoughts about that strategic plan and how that's going to help us going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. The strategic plan identifies a number of just critical efforts that the council feels we need to move forward to keep the city going in the direction they want it to go. I think we have a little bit more work to do in terms of being explicit about what the direction is, and we'll do that work. But I think as a whole, it gives, again, the elected officials are the ones who determine what the outcome is that we want, and then they create the things like the strategic plan, the general plan, to give staff direction on what to do. So it gives staff what we need to be able to move forward and make the council's vision real.
Sure, and I think some metrics also for achievable key performance indicators are going to be baked into that strategic plan, so staff knows that we can report back to council success or that we have more work to do.
Right, you have to have the accountability piece, and having it in a way where the public can follow along and see what we're doing well, what we're not doing so well, again, invites them into the conversation.
Yeah, that's great. So changing gears a little bit, we've talked a lot about our great staff. Well, we are going to be losing a member of our staff. Tyler Goodman has announced that he's taking a position with Yavapai County. So I personally am happy to see him staying in the community. But your thoughts on that and sort of what that looks like for you and replacing him, and thoughts going forward with that.
Yeah, Tyler's such a rock star. He's so good. I've only been working with him for about 2 months. I've loved it. I think everything about him is great. And you look at his record with the city. He's been loyal. He's gotten us through some tough things. He's contributed in major ways. I don't think you don't replace someone like that. He's really done a lot, and I think we owe him a lot of our gratitude, both as a city and just me personally. I don't think I could have come on and had the progress that I've had without Tyler there to help me understand everything and give me the history and some counsel and direction in which way we might want to think about going. So he's been absolutely fantastic. I'm happy for him. I think it's a great move for him and his family. And if it's good for him, it's good for us. I still have his cell phone number, and now I have the assistant county administrative officer's phone number, and we'll be talking, I'm sure. In terms of trying to recruit someone to fill the position, that's going fairly well so far. As of, I think, yesterday morning, we had something like 50 applications. It's a nationwide search where we'll look far and wide and hire the best person. And so far, it's a pretty strong pool. So I'm optimistic we'll be able to move quickly once we get to the review of applications, which is July 31st.
July 31st. So after that, we'll be able to take a look at that pool and hopefully find a great candidate.
That's right.
That can help the team. Well, that's great. It's definitely good to look forward to that. So,
Yeah.
So switching gears before we close out, one kind of fun fact that I learned from you early on is that you spent some time in Germany, and that you do speak the language somewhat, right, still? So
Yeah.
you want to share that experience a little bit and kind of what you brought from that?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was 19, went on a 2-year church mission to Germany. I was in and around Frankfurt primarily, and then when and that was just fantastic and hard but great. And then when I came home, I got to teach German for 3 years at the university. So I love it. It's a staple in my house for me to mix English and German a little bit. And I've got some kids that are learning German, and it's just really fun. It's just something I've learned to love.
That's great. Yeah, and what's kind of a fun fact for us is our fire chief, Holger Dura, is from Germany originally. So an interesting side note is that our tourism office, we host a lot of German visitors and tours from media and things like that. So my pool of German-speaking ambassadors is growing. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
great
right.
to have you on the team for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
But Germans love the Old West. They love coming to Prescott, so we love inviting them and having them here. It's good to know that we have you here for that talent. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's great. So I think we're getting ready to wrap up here. I guess I'm going to throw it back to you. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to share with our viewers before we close the show out?
I think maybe just 3 thoughts. One is just that I care a lot. I don't try to have any kind of a tough guy persona. I do care a lot. This is a big part of my life. It's a big part of what I want to do. I looked up, and did a lot of research before coming here, and knew Prescott was the place I wanted to be. And my family's loving it. We're having a great time. So I care a lot. I want the community to be phenomenal. I live here. I own a home here. And I want people to be able to thrive here, to be resilient here, to be able to live here as long as they are willing and able to be here. I think I've been really grateful for the people who are here. There's a lot of kindness in the people here, a lot of just random people at the grocery store who are friendly and offer advice or just say hi. It's that part of Prescott's outstanding too. I didn't anticipate that, but I love it, and actually have had conversations with my family about, like, all right, we got to be better people. Like, we can't mess this up. We got to be kind in public, and we got to be making sure that we're paying attention and helping people, and so we've really enjoyed that, and then maybe just we need everybody. We need people to participate in the process, however it works for them, right? We need people to vote. We need people to share their comments when they have them, to participate on boards and commissions when they can, certainly to work well with our staff, and extend that kindness into their interactions, their business interactions with our people. We need to hear how their experiences are and how we can be better, and things that we're doing really well. So I think those kind of main things, just really do care. I'm really grateful to be here, and we need everyone. Right? This is everybody's hometown. We all need to be participating.
That's great. Well, great thoughts. Well, as a member of your team, it's been great to have you. Look so forward to the future and some of the things that we're going to do together as a team. appreciate your leadership already. You've already made a difference, so I want to let you know that.
Thank you.
And just keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate you very much. So with that, I'm going to close the show out today. So thank you all for watching Prescott Today. I'm John Heiney. I'm the Community Outreach Director for the City of Prescott. We've had our guest today, City Manager Dallin Kimble. We look forward to seeing you next time on Prescott Today.